Hello, and welcome to the Indiana Farmers Market Community of Practices September webinar, Mobile Produce Markets, an effective model for addressing nutrition security and supporting regional agriculture economic development. I'm Christina Ferroli, the Grants Program Coordinator for the Indiana Cooperative Development Center. Today we have with us Samuel Lev and Leah, Vermont. Sam and Leah are with the Mobile Market Coalition out of the University of Buffalo. The coalition serves to advance mobile markets as essential infrastructure for a responsive and resilient food system where everyone has access to healthy food. I want to remind everyone to please remain muted during the webinar. However, we want this webinar to be participatory, so if you have questions, you may either raise your hand virtually and we will call on you, or please drop the chat and we will get to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. I will take it away. I appreciate the introduction. My name, again, Sam Lev. You're going to see as we work through this first couple of slides and introduce ourselves, a couple of different terms: Veggie Van Training Center, University of Buffalo, Mobile Market Coalition. I promise we're going to try and detangle some of that as we go along. But at the core, I am one of the coordinators with the Mobile Market Coalition. Leah Vermont, who's joining us in this presentation today as well, is the director at the Mobile Market Coalition. The outfit is Buffalo based. Leah lives in Buffalo. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I am remote. I came to this work as a former mobile market operator myself, having started and run one for about 7 years in Southwest Virginia. Leah came to this work on kind of the research side with the University of Buffalo. And we are just really excited to come with you, join you here today in this group to talk about mobile markets, share some of our research and resources, and really talk a little bit about kind of how and why our partners decide that a mobile market is the right food access intervention for their communities. Next slide, Leah. Just a couple of points we're going to talk about today. We'll share a little bit about kind of the broad strokes Mobile Market Coalition, who we are, what we do. We'll just do a bare bones, like what is a mobile market? I know some of you are probably quite familiar. Some of you might run mobile markets of your own. But for those of you in the room who maybe haven't had that familiarization yet, we'll talk about some of the kind of core points of what makes a mobile market a mobile market. And then we'll finish with some of the resources, as well as maybe some of the key decisions that mobile markets make in that planning and kind of pre-launch phase that we know lead to more successful and sustainable operations, better service in the community, so on and so forth. I will hand it off to Leah now.
Thanks, Sam. And welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. And I love hearing that there's so much excitement for mobile markets. That is great and wonderful. And so I wanted to, as Sam alluded, we've been doing a lot of, our background is in researching and understanding mobile markets as a food access intervention and understanding their impact at a community level and how it improves food access, fruit and vegetable consumption, health, diet. And out of that research, we started working with mobile markets. We know that they're effective. We'll talk a little bit about that. But we also started working with our partners, our research partners, on understanding and helping them implement a mobile market, because we're seeing that they really are great, but they are definitely challenging to operate if any of you have started this process. And so really our call to action came to be one of helping refine our resources, provide a roadmap and guidance for organizations to start a mobile market so they're not reinventing the wheel. And as we were working on that research of helping those organizations implement a mobile market as a food access intervention in their community, we started just hearing across the nation tons of interest of other organizations outside of our research wanting to start mobile markets. And so it happened pretty organically. I think 2019, 18, my brain doesn't work anymore. There was a group of mobile markets across the US that had been operating for a long time, and they were coming together. We were coming together to do some training for our research partners. And so we had our inaugural Mobile Market Coalition Summit, and that was very exciting. And it really transpired into the need for us to develop a national mobile market coalition. And so that's what we've done. We've just officially come out of some strategic planning and are, ready to really, I would say, formalize, because the work of the coalition and all of things we've been doing has been happening for many years. But I think our goal right now is ensuring that everybody knows about all of the resources and benefits of the coalition. And so that mobile market coalition is really aimed at providing resources, networking, technical assistance, and training for organizations that are trying to start a mobile market, or organizations that have been running a mobile market but are really just looking to connect with their peers and find out how other people are operating. It's for individuals who've never started. It's the whole range. And so we're really here as a coalition of partners across the US to support others looking to start this work. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we are happy to answer questions about who we are and what we offer. But I just want to give a broad stroke overview of that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the technical, or maybe Sam will talk a little bit more about our technical assistance and training. But I wanted to just highlight that our 6th annual summit is coming up, and it's actually going to be in Phoenix. So we'll be with Sam this year, and it's super exciting. I really love the summit because it really encapsulates everything that we're talking about here. So it's an opportunity to showcase research, to provide training and technical assistance, to learn from others that are operating mobile markets. And we provide a lot of networking opportunities. So it's a really great event, and we're super excited. So happy to talk more about that. And before I go on to the next slide, so we are the Mobile Market Coalition, but we are also the Veggie Van Training Center, which is pretty much just right now the technical assistance arm of the coalition.
Thanks, Leah. Yeah, I just want to say one thing. When I was running my mobile market in Virginia, I was actually one of the research partners. I was giving operator interviews to the folks at the university, Leah, and some of the other research team folks. And one of, I think, the recurring themes that came out of when I was giving interviews, but also some of the other operators, was that we were all kind of felt like we were operating in silo. We were trying really hard to make this work. We were seeing success. We were having challenges. But this opportunity to connect with other mobile markets in this kind of national coalition venue was just so validating, not only helpful, but also validating to know we're all going through the same things. Some people have come up with really innovative solutions, and it just has really strengthened, I think, individual mobile market operators so much as this coalition has come together. Like Leah said, the Veggie Van Training Center, that you'll see that term kind of thrown around our website and in emails and things. That is really the technical assistance and training arm of the Mobile Market Coalition, like Leah said. So here are some of the things that we do broadly: research and partnerships. We share evidence-based practices. That's kind of where the Veggie Van terminology comes from. And then we'll talk about the Veggie Van model here in a minute. And then building this national network via Google Group listservs and other training opportunities. Some of the specific ways that manifest that we'll invite you to learn more about. We have the Veggie Van Toolkit, which is that evidence-based best practice set of information. It's a web-based toolkit that is vast and helpful and ever evolving. We have the Mobile Market Summit annually. We do kind of one-off consulting and individualized coaching. So if folks want to come in and say, hey, I'm having these struggles, can we set up some time to talk? We can do up to 1 to 2 hours free for partners. And then in a paid partnership capacity, moving on from there, if we want to do really hands-on consulting and coaching. We also have a Mobile Market 101 course, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the day today. But it is really kind of a crash course over 6 months, every other week, virtual courses, virtual sessions that share most everything you need to know to take a mobile market from an idea to launching and sustainability. So we'll talk a little bit about some of those at the end, but just wanted to kind of set, those are the ways that folks mostly interact with the VeggieMan Training Center and the resources we offer today. Those are continuing to grow and expand. We're building new resources on a very regular basis.
Yeah, and I'll just pause. I forgot to mention and just really didn't go into it in terms of where we are with the overall mobile market coalition. We have lots of goals, lots of exciting things planned. And part of that is developing out a more formal peer mentoring program. So right now, and what Sam did, a lot of people are, which is great, is just reaching out to those mobile markets that may have been operating for a long time. And that is a really wonderful way to connect. But we also, through our research, have heard time and again from some of our original mobile market operators that they become really overwhelmed, right, with like fielding these calls. And so our goal and our mission is to help alleviate that burden on some of them and really be one place. The Mobile Market Coalition is one place where someone can go and say, hey, I need help with X. And our role can then be to help fit them into a place that makes sense, whether it's like a more formal training, or maybe we know of a food bank that's also running a mobile market, or perhaps it's an extension running a mobile market. So there's so many various ways in which people operate mobile markets, farmers markets that have an offshoot mobile market. And so we're really excited to build out this peer mentor membership type situation where we can then better match people with the needs that they are having. So just wanted to add that in as well. Yeah, so before we, jump in, I'm not sure how many people are on the call, but I am just really curious, who is joining us today and why you're here. What are some of the goals of, maybe it's just to figure out a mobile market, but maybe even a little bit broader than that, like why do you want to start a mobile market? So I'm curious, and again, I feel we can put some stuff in the chat, or if people want to come off and we can just, but feel free if you want, at a minimum, I think, to just add into the chat, what kind of organization are you and why are you here today? So a lot of reasons, we hear from partners is that they're they're in a community and they're already serving a population, but they're just not reaching them fully, or they're figuring out ways to better to serve the community that they're doing. And so and we're trying to figure out if this is the right fit for us. And so I'm seeing some come in.
Got a couple of comments in the chat, Leah. Can you see those?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a food system. So we're coming from Purdue Extension. So just learning. A community outreach dietitian, and focus is on food insecurity and food access. So nonprofit and for-profit want to find ways to address food insecurity in our area. Yep, these are all the reasons I assume that most were joining today, but it's always good to hear. We often, when we talk and give presentations about the work we do, we really do talk a lot about food insecurity in the US, but we're not going to delve into that. I think we all are under the understanding that this is probably a big goal for all of us right now in the room. And for us, mobile markets are a really wonderful intervention that's backed up by research that Sam's going to talk a little bit about, that might meet the needs for some of this. So thanks for adding all of these to the chat. It's really helpful.
Yeah, these are great comments, y'all.
Yeah, we love to hear people coming from the city. Through our coalition work, we envision that every, county and city has like a line item budget in their thing to create their own mobile markets. A vendor at a farmer's market.
State University, Leah?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, urban farm. I don't know if you talk about this, just the makeup of who, are running mobile markets. I had the statistic in front of me, but, a lot of mobile, I don't remember. Do you remember off the top of your head how many it was that were farmer run or mobile markets that are organizations that are run by farms, it's a very, very, very high percentage. So it's great to hear that and see you guys in the audience today. All right, well, we'll keep taking a look at these. I appreciate you guys putting them all in here. Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, so interesting to see so many different backgrounds and why folks have come to the meeting here today. A lot of questions that you all are looking to answer about food security, equity. I saw a question about trying to decide what kind of vehicle you're going to look for. This might be your slide, but a lot of things that we'll address and talk about, and certainly a lot of different examples that we see across the country of folks that are interested in and start and support mobile markets, from city to cooperative extension to nonprofit to for-profit. So happy to have you all joining us and sharing a little bit about who you are. Thank you. So just briefly want to talk about kind of level set, what is a mobile market? If you've been wondering, if you're not sure, if there are 700 definitions floating around in your head, I think we just wanted to talk really quickly about what one is. We know that there are, as many of you in the room with different backgrounds and different approaches, there are different kinds of mobile markets with different practices and baseline models for operation. There are quite a few out there and quite a few different ways folks define their mobile markets. There are some commonalities that we've found, though, through our research and just general networking that help define what we kind of consider to be the typical mobile market. To put it really simply, mobile markets are food retailers that sell healthy, affordable food, frequently sourced from local farms, in communities experiencing food insecurity and limited food access. They are mobile. They kind of operate in this.
Sorry, Sam, I'm just going to pause you really quickly. I just got to, so you guys can't see the slide. So what you should be seeing is what is a mobile market with a photo of a mobile market.
Yeah, a couple of folks can. It was blank for a minute before we showed
this.
Oh,
okay. Sorry about that.
So maybe that was what Nancy was concerned with.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it too, though.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so we like to think of mobile markets as essential infrastructure for a responsive and resilient food system because they increase access to food in food insecure communities where other food retailers may be unable or unwilling to sustain operations. Think of the common term being food deserts, food swamps, things like that, food apartheid. And so mobile markets, we believe, are really innovative and unique in this space because they can pinpoint those communities that struggle with access and affordability. We know that mobile markets improve food access and health disparities as well in their communities by meeting people at convenient locations, sourcing high quality fresh fruits and vegetables from local farms, and ensuring that the products they offer are easily available and affordable by doing things like accepting SNAP EBT, offering discounts and incentives, as well as a variety of vouchers and innovative pricing models. A lot of you in the farmers market space are probably quite familiar with things like SNAP matching and double up food bucks. Mobile markets are really great vehicles, no pun intended, at delivering those kinds of affordability programs as well. And then lastly, we know that mobile markets mostly utilize some type of vehicle. I think one thing you've seen in these pictures is there are just a vast array of styles of vehicle you can use, including food trucks, trailers, buses, and even using a vehicle to bring out kind of a pop-up farmers market stand with tents and tables, for example. These vehicles tend to have all manner of display equipment, different styles of refrigeration and sales techniques. And a lot of this that we work with partners on is really focusing the style of vehicle and equipment that you need and want to use based on your community's needs, the assets you have on hand, and the best for your community and your food, right? So the bus, for example, you just saw is here in Phoenix. That's Farm Express in Phoenix. They have a bus because there's not really another good option other than to keep an air-conditioned vehicle that people can walk onto, because you don't want your folks waiting in line on hot tarmac when it's 114 degrees outside. You don't want your food out in the sun either here. So again, really basing it on kind of what you know about your climate, your community, and your needs. Take it away, Leah.
Yeah. And, I think that I'm glad to see people are even at that stage where they have funding for a vehicle, or that's where they're starting. And it is just to echo what Sam is saying. We are big advocates for that is not the first step, is finding your vehicle and then figuring out programming around that, because part of what makes mobile markets really successful is their innate and inherent ability to really be very much in tune with the community that they're serving, right? They are going into that community. There are really strong partnerships happening in that community. And that should then inform back to you and your organization, your programming, and then your eventual vehicle type and how you're going to connect, whether it's your own produce and farm or other, produce. How are you going to connect that best to your community? And so we always like to put that as a caveat in there. Oh yeah, I was just going to mention, so I'm not going to go into a lot of this, and I'm happy to share more of that research piece with everyone, and if they are interested, but we do know that our research at least has shown that mobile markets are very effective in terms of being a viable solution for improving the food environment through increasing availability and access to fruits and veggies, as well as influencing purchasing and consumption. All this research is still even a little too new to understand maybe, but it's starting to come out to understand really the true effects on health indicators. But, with the onset and attention to food as medicine programs, there are, like the one in Arizona, there are a lot of programs and mobile markets that are partnering with healthcare and implementing food as medicine and starting to track that data to really understand at that level of health and how it's affecting individuals. So we're really excited to start seeing that research come out. And we know that food access programs of all the different kinds there are out there, mobile markets are very much favored with communities that are typically undersourced, low income, and don't have access to fruits and veggies. Just as long as, convenience and affordability are ensured, and we can talk about how we recommend organizations ensure those types of things. And we know, like I just mentioned, that some of these pillars of why a mobile market, they address multiple dimensions of food access. So we call those usually our 5 A's, but they're addressing everything from affordability through using incentives to ensuring that somebody in a wheelchair is able to get there, so access just generally, that they are listening to their community and providing culturally relevant food or produce if that is what that community is interested in. And so they also are very flexible. So during COVID, I think we were surprised to see, I guess maybe not surprised, but mobile markets continued operation, and they were very much not affected by all of the, restrictions. And I think people felt really more comfortable. You may have seen this with some of the farmers markets once they were able to reopen, at least, that people really felt much more comfortable shopping at mobile markets versus something like a grocery store. But I think the biggest thing is that they're flexible, they're agile, they are really able to shift and literally shift to a better community site, but then also just they're smaller, right? So they're agile, they're able to better respond to what that community is asking for. Again, we really find that mobile markets are really well situated to do community engagement. They offer dignity of choice and consumer empowerment. And we will talk a little bit about financial stability and ways we recommend organizations approach that. But yeah, why mobile markets? They're wonderful.
Yeah, we wanted to just show briefly, just to kind of share the extent to which mobile markets have grown across the country. And so we have this map of mobile markets we know to be operating around the US and a few in Canada. You can see our count, which is certainly not perfectly accurate or up to date because it's a very dynamic field, is at least 200. I think we're around 220 20 some mobile markets operating across the country. Distribution being pretty heavily East Coast, as you might be able to see. And I think Leah wanted to pull up the map in the interactive page and check out Indiana more zoomed if you can.
I know, I'm like, can I? I mean, I can, but let's try it out.
It's on the website also if you let's see.
So I'm gonna share my screen, but I'm gonna share this screen.
I always just think it's interesting. Probably most of you are, not a very far drive from an active mobile market, whether it's in Indiana or on the border.
Right. So, if you go to our website, this is the map, and then you can zoom in. It's just a Google map. And so I was trying to zoom in, and we don't have a lot. And to Sam's point, this is one of our initiatives, is having a better count and understanding of where all of our mobile markets are. And so this is just a start of that process. So if we zoom out, I think we currently have about 4 or 3.
We know one in Indianapolis too, with Eskenazi, that just opened in the past few months.
Right. Yep. And so there's a few here. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea is to get a better representation for us just to know, let's see, any chats here. Yeah, we've got more that are here that are not represented. And so that's our goal, is to get out the word that we're here. And the idea is that eventually we will be able to, so let me try and get back to my presentation. Hold on. Sam, I'll let you keep talking about the mobile map. And
oh yeah, I think, like I said, it has come from kind of partners that we've worked with, and the folks that have filled out our toolkit survey and said they are actively operating. Again, that might mean someone filled out our survey 3 months or 2 years ago and said they were planning and have since launched. That's data that we don't quite have captured yet. Josh, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and we will get you added if you send us some basic information. So let's connect offline.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is that, the idea is that it's helpful. We're such big proponents. We know that, we can provide and guide through best practices and one-on-one coaching. Obviously, we are so lucky to have Sam, who was also an operator, so that is a great added benefit. But we also know that just learning from your fellow peers is really important. And so this map is ultimately in that service as well, to ensure that people know who's around them, who can they connect with. Part of our coalition goals will be to start regional mobile market networks. And so that's already in the works. And so this is super exciting because, again, like your community of practice for farmers markets, these are the same types of learning, circles and types of things that are really empowering and helpful for mobile market operators.
And to Rachel's point, quickly in the chat, there is no replacement for seeing one operate in real life. Getting to kind of tactilely see a vehicle and how customers interact with it is just, I think, not only powerful as a motivator, but as a learning tool. And so, that is an opportunity that we give people at the Mobile Market Summit, but also something that these regional networks we're building, but also just communities of practice like this can really offer folks. We just wanted to say, not only do we know there are 200 plus mobile markets operating in the country, but since we launched the mobile market toolkit, or the Veggie Band toolkit in 2020, we've had over 580 completions of that survey. We do a quick survey to gain access to the toolkit. So we know there's at least 600 people, organizations, cities, cooperative extensions out there that have considered, researched, read up on, or started mobile markets around the country. So this is not a small movement that has built over the last 10 or 15 years.
Sam,
great question in the chat.
Just note that it's 12:30 right now,
Yep.
just so that we are ensuring that we, have time.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to put a pin in this question about mobile markets procuring and storing produce. We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a moment. And if we don't answer your question, we'll save plenty of time at the end. So we'll kind of speed through this next section. We wanted to talk a little bit, though, after kind of pitching the Mobile Market Coalition and sharing a little bit about what we know, do a little bit of what we kind of offer in some of our trainings and how we help mobile market partners or those planning mobile markets to make big decisions, to decide what their mobile markets will look like. and really hone down on the best ways to serve their community. So I want to talk just really briefly through a few slides about some of those decisions that we help folks make and why. We really boil it down in these early planning phases to the 3 Ps, right? People, products, and pricing. And so we're going to go through each just really quickly, but the big picture questions are, who are you going to serve and how are you going to reach them? What do you know about the people that you plan to serve, the communities that you plan to serve? Products, what will you carry? Where will you source it? How will you store it? And then pricing is the other big question, right? So not only how do you set prices for your products, but how do you ensure that these food insecure and limited access communities, how are you going to ensure that they can afford the food you're bringing? It's really great to create physical access to the food, but if it's not affordable, you're missing a key component that makes mobile markets and serving these communities successful. So one thing we know from our research is that the vast majority of mobile markets target low-income customers primarily. I will say, just as a general rule, the vast majority of mobile markets don't limit who they serve. They don't say, no, you can't come shop with us, right? But by nature of where they go and the kinds of marketing they do and the kinds of communities they connect with, the target audience, the key demographic, the goal is for them to serve low-income customers. We know that about 2/3 of mobile markets serve urban areas, but we also have an increasing number of partners that are serving rural communities, or a mix of rural, urban, and suburban. But again, the key question on that people side is, we here at the university, at the Mobile Market Coalition, we don't know your communities. You know your communities best. And so what we do when we talk about the people is just arming you with the tools to make those decisions and to learn to kind of define out what you already know about your community and how best to serve them. Thanks, Leah. And then on to kind of the product side. Again, what are you going to source? Where are you going to source it from? There are a wide variety of models that mobile markets use for sourcing and serving fresh produce. We know that most mobile markets, and we'll show a chart here in a second, most mobile markets serve fruits and vegetables, but a lot of mobile markets serve other products, proteins, honeys, nuts, grains, canned goods, plants, eggs, things like that. So you can just see really quickly here the scope of different types of products that mobile markets serve, either from like straight fruits and vegetables farm stand to more full service kind of food grocery options. Not all mobile markets source exclusively local food, but you can see a few different options here. Some might work directly with a farm. Some mobile markets might be born out of a farm that serves just what they grow. Some mobile markets offer kind of local when available, trying to meet customers where they're at and knowing that their food needs might include non-local products. For me, and obviously true for you all in Indiana, I call this like the banana question, right? Every mobile market is going to have people asking for bananas. People love bananas. It's a convenient and easy food, right? And so the question of kind of what are you going to source? How much of the year can you operate with local food, and what do you want to sell if non-local produce? How are you going to find that? And then this last question, last option is kind of more values focused, right? Trying to find high quality and affordable produce, maybe less of a focus on local if available, but really being sensitive to the cultural needs of your customers and serving them with the products that you hear them asking for. That might be where something like bananas come in, or more culturally relevant foods based on who you're serving. Yeah, and here's just a breakdown of when we survey mobile markets in our community, what they tend to define out as the product they sourced. You can see the highest individual amount is, or the highest number of mobile markets serve produce within their county or within 100 miles. And it kind of arcs on both sides of the bell curve to serving from foreign countries, conventional, industrial ag, to we grow everything ourselves on the other side. So again, as many mobile markets as there are different styles. Lastly, on the pricing side, you can see kind of a wide variety of solutions to not only pricing your products, but ensuring affordability. I'll let you kind of read through this as I talk, but you can really see that some markets do a standard markup of somewhere between 10 and 20%. Some markets fundraise on the back end so that they can offer the produce they sell at cost. Some markets simply price their products by being competitive with another outlet in your area, whether it's farmers markets or supermarkets or big box stores. And then again, the vast majority of mobile markets offer some version of discount, incentive, voucher program for various eligible audiences, the most popular of which being SNAP matching. Next slide, Leah.
Yeah, because the next slide is just going to jump into that community engagement. And so I think here, I don't remember the person that, starting a mobile market with a lot of help from students, so I think, how do we be sustainable? I'll just, cost offset models are very popular with mobile markets, where we just started our mobile market on our campus here at University at Buffalo, which is great, the interest. But, the whole point is to ensure that for students, especially those that are food insecure, are able to afford that produce. And so for us, that really means ensuring that our development of community engagement with our staff and our faculty, those that may have a little bit more means, are also shopping at our market to help subsidize those costs for our students. And so really ensuring that we're trying to use some of these models to help with sustainability.
And then this is the last slide before we'll take some of your questions. So I can dig more deeply into kind of how do mobile markets store, and then this question of pricing out small scale farmers. It's relevant for this point here about community engagement, though, as a part of kind of defining out your mobile market model. Overwhelmingly, we hear that successful mobile markets are ones that connect and build relationships within the communities they serve, and that is a key component of their success. There are a wide array of ways that you can engage with your community. I am sure a number of you in this room are already doing these things both formally and informally. We know mobile markets conduct community engagement activities such as kind of formal focus groups, doing interviews and surveys, as well as attending events, tabling, just putting yourself face to face with some of your key demographic, your target demographic customers. These activities not only can help build trust within the community, they can provide some level of ownership over the programs you're offering, and can also provide you valuable information about the right way to implement a mobile market, the right way to model your services. Imagine, again, hearing from your customers about the kinds of products they want, the right locations to meet them where they're at, and those can really be pathways to success and sustainability. Mobile markets also do things like conduct or review community needs assessments, search your community for relevant data. A lot of you probably know the basic data sets that kind of demonstrate the need in your community and where it might be and what that specific need might be. Things like data about SNAP from your local health department, your area nonprofit hospitals all have community health assessments every other year now, every 3 years. Feeding America has that great map the meal gap data set. So anyway, all kinds of ways you can engage and learn and build trust within your community and ensure that what you're doing is actively meeting the needs that these communities have.
Yeah, I always think about, an organization that came to us. They had a huge amount of funding. It was the COVID relief funding that they were able to get, which was great. Jumped right in, got a bus, started just no community engagement beforehand, just started showing up in their community and was like, this isn't working. What's going on? I mean, I'm not to say that you do all of this community engagement and they'll definitely show up. I think it's a process, building that trust takes time, but, at a minimum, implementing some understanding and assessment with your community to say, oh, I have a lot of parents and, working parents that need to be picking up their kids. And so maybe a good time is not in the middle of the day to show up at this spot, but perhaps, at 6 p.m. so that we can ensure that we're meeting our demographic that we're actually trying to ensure. And so these things seem really simple and obvious, but I think that, there are so many components. I think Christina used the word, there's a lot to juggle when you're kind of starting a mobile market. And so I think For us, really clarifying that there are some really best practices on where to start to help, make the most impact and ensure you really are going to be meeting that community where it needs to be.
Thanks, Leah. We're going to pause here for a second and maybe we've got 19 minutes left. And so before we close out, I do want to just leave a few moments for anybody to ask questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. I will answer the previous question about procuring and storing, as well as pricing out small scale farmers. In the meantime, feel free to drop something in the chat, or after we address this one, anyone's welcome to unmute and share their thoughts or questions as well. So part one, how do mobile markets procure and store produce? I think I touched on that a little bit. Again, most mobile markets that aren't coming directly from a farm and growing all of their own product tend to be wholesale buyers from a variety of places based on the values that I discussed a few slides ago. So whether that's buying direct from local farms in a wholesale capacity, buying from your area food hubs, or conventional wholesalers, or anything in between is what mobile markets tend to do for procurement. Storage looks like a lot of different things too, kind of based on the assets and resources you have on hand. I ran the gamut with my mobile market from year one, using 2 domestic home refrigerators in an empty space that we had to store product, which I don't recommend, to having kind of a home base where we not only had our kind of office storage space, but we also had a walk-in cooler and a dry storage area that we loaded in and out of every day with our vehicle, right? So a lot of different options there based on the options you have on hand, or the assets you have on hand. You might recognize that handsome gentleman second from the right here. That is the mobile market.
So young, Sam.
Much more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. This was our second vehicle. Our first one was just an old church bus that we bought and took the seats out of. And this was finally, once we had kind of proven the model, we found we were able to fundraise and build out this vehicle in a really interesting and unique way. But we did it, to Leah's point, based on the needs that we knew our customers had after operating for 2 years on the cheap. And then this really perfectly embodied what we wanted to serve our community with, and how our community, I think, knew they needed or wanted to kind of receive these services. To the other point about pricing out local small scale farmers, I think it's a really good question. I think I would ask you again, kind of what you know about the local agriculture scene in your community, and if local small scale farmers are thriving, having their needs met, as well as the hunger and food equity needs of your community. And see if there's a connection point there that turns this not from a point of competition to one of collaboration and partnership, right? We bought more food from our local farmers because we were opening up new markets that weren't typically being served with local produce, right? So I didn't think of it as pricing folks out. I thought of it more as bringing new consumers into the local food scene. The brilliance of things like SNAP matching and other voucher and incentive programs that are fundraised by the organization operating the mobile market is they allow for discounts to customers without asking farmers to discount the produce they sell to the mobile market operator, right? So they're getting competitive prices on their end, and consumers are getting affordable prices on their end. So that space in the middle is really the magic of a mobile market, in making sure you're not kind of out competing with other spaces. I found in Roanoke, Virginia, we were flush with fixed site farmers markets, and still we were able to build in new consumer bases with our mobile market that weren't already participating in the local food economy. So it was a net positive for everybody involved. Leah, anything to add?
No, I think that's, I think this idea of, you covered everything.
Great, yeah. Kirby, thanks so much for this message. The Resilient Food Supply Infrastructure Program from AMS,
Yeah, and there's a couple other, there's one that just came out, I'm forgetting the name, I think it's like a community grant that just came out through the USDA. And so as part of the follow-up, we'll add in here our just general contact information. So we do put out a newsletter. It's not like a regular thing, but we are getting there.
Monthly-ish.
We also have a Google group that I'm sure some of you may already be on, but it's like, again, any type of community of practice. It's a really great place to just throw in some information of like, hey, anyone have question, I have a question about this. What did you guys do? But it's also a mechanism that we can share like, hey, to this point here about the Resilient Food Supply Infrastructure Program, like letting folks know, hey, we think that mobile markets, this would be a good grant for you to apply for. If you are
there is a section in the Veggie Van Toolkit about grants and fundraising. So a few really helpful pages about how mobile markets tend to fund their operations. It has a not comprehensive, but ever growing and evolving list of funding resources. And I don't think this one's on there since it might be new. So I will be sure that this gets added to our list. So thank you so much, Purvi, for sharing it. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments they want to add?
Yeah,
we got a raised hand from Michelle.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Michelle Shippey. I'm with the Marion County Public Health Department here in Indianapolis. We do run the incentive programs here in Indy, and we're continuing to work on bringing the collaboration statewide. Definitely central is still a bit siloed, but we're getting there. But my question is more around like the technology. One of the things that we continue to work on as we know of mobile markets becoming active is making sure that we can help and assist in any way in regards to the point of sale system that would be compatible for incentives. And so any kind of like insight or resources that maybe you have on that or that's worked well, because we've moved to an e-incentive platform for our Double Up program here. And it's just challenging at times because we also don't want it to be like super sophisticated and expensive for the mobile markets. So I guess where I'm going with that is just any resources or ways that you guys have worked with others when it comes to the technology component as well.
I want to let Leah take this question, but I just want to say it's so nice to hear. I think as someone who used to be a farmer's market manager as well, the beauty of a mobile market is no more tokens as a single vendor. No more thinking farmer's market tokens. Sounds like you guys are phasing out of that as well, but I'll let Leah talk about the technology piece a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer, so I'll just preface it with that. I will say that some of these conversations that we have around mobile market work is not dissimilar to the same conversations that you're going to be seeing play out through farmers markets, right? So there's a big, or through like the other big groups that are helpful with this, right, are the Nutrition Incentive Hub, and they have a lot of, I think they're today or tomorrow, they're doing a community of practice around incentives and technology specifically. So if you are, and we would encourage you to do so, if you are doing incentives, we really recommend that you get plugged into that nutrition incentive community. I can add that as another link. You do not have to necessarily be a GUS-SNP grantee to be part of that. And so that's just a really good way to do that. Great. I'm hearing we're very connected with them. Wonderful. So yes, I can add that to my slide as just another way. I think that sometimes people don't realize that they can be part of those conversations unless they are grantees. But as much as I understand it, you can still have access to those resources. I will just say, so that I think is a big topic that lots of people are struggling with. And so how we're addressing it in our mobile market, we've been working with some Perigee. They've put out Farmers Register, which has been in operation for many years. I think Sam used it back in the day. And part of the work that we had done with them is, trying to help improve the point of sale system. So it's very agile as a point of sale to track all of these other incentives. You would still need your processor to actually accept the EBT and Double Up food bucks, which is what it's called here in New York. But I would say we don't necessarily have a solution right now. I know that there are lots of mobile markets, and actually there was just a comment in a thread in our mobile market Google listserv about this very thing. So I was hearing a lot of total pay. I know in Arizona, and it sounds like here in New York, FoodLink, they're both moving to different options. I don't remember what the one in Arizona is, like local, I forget the name, but anyways, I apologize. I don't have a good solution. I think that we are all working towards trying to figure out the most acceptable way for a customer to actually engage in these programs, as well as a way to eliminate burden at the operator level to ensure that there's like not, you know, so total pay has been one we explore the most. Yeah, I think that I was just seeing a lot of like recommendations for total pay in that listserv there, but we recognize that it's challenging right now, probably for a lot of just other markets that aren't even just mobile markets. So
I'll just say to round it out, again, you've heard me say as many mobile markets as there are different models. And I'm sure you all who've been working in food in various ways for years also recognize in all of these different food interventions, whether it's food hubs or community gardens or CSAs, like there are a multitude of technological solutions, softwares, apps. I have found like, there's no perfect one for any of it, right? And that's maybe my own frustration, but because everybody operates in a slightly different way and serves slightly different audiences, I think it's kind of making sure you find the right one for you. We have worked with a lot of partners who use Farmers Register as their point of sale app, but again, they don't have kind of card swipe technology integrated yet. So some of you might need to keep your wireless terminals for your Snap machine or for running Snap and credit cards. A lot of folks use Square, and it has some discounting options in it. Just a plug for Farmers Register is that it is really set up to receive these kinds of incentive and voucher programs in the way you want to build them. So it is really flexible, unlike a lot of the other non kind of purpose-built softwares. But we'll leave it at that. A couple of other quick questions. That we can probably answer just here in a moment and then maybe close out. So if you've got any last minute questions, now's the time for them. Issues with where to park the mobile market when it's not being used. Sure. If you can imagine a challenge, I've probably experienced it personally, and surely the mobile market community has also experienced it. They're big flashy vehicles oftentimes, right? So finding a safe place for them to park overnight, whether it's kind of behind your office building or somewhere where it's secure and locked, or even somewhere off-site that you have to go get every day, certainly is key to making sure that vehicle stays safe. Another big thing is like I have my headquarters and everything came off the vehicle every day. So all the food came off, the point of sale, the technology, the cash box, all moved to a secure indoor location. So that it was really just the vehicle. I am sure there are vehicles out there that have been defaced overnight, tried to be broken into, things like that. The vast majority of mobile markets probably haven't had those experiences. Again, building yourselves as a trusted part of this community is kind of a key part of that. So sure, finding the right place to park, a thing we can talk about in great detail and all the various resources that we offer throughout the year. Again, mobile markets accepting WIC. In a very limited capacity. This is kind of a new field that mobile markets are working on. As you all who are very familiar with WIC probably know, it can be pretty hard to be a WIC approved vendor because there are a lot of different stocking requirements associated with the products that shoppers who use WIC can acquire. Most mobile markets don't carry the breadth of products that WIC offers. Grains and cereals, peanut butters, formulas, things like that. And historically, vendors have to offer all of them. You might point to FoodLink in Rochester, New York. I believe in California, Fresh Approach is trying to get WIC approved too. They might be working on some exemptions to just source fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy proteins that are available via WIC and not have the full scope of cereals, grains, peanut butters, and things like that. So a few are trying, a few are working on exemptions to make it easier for produce vendors to sell to accept WIC. A lot of states offer WIC farmers market nutrition program vouchers that can be spent at farmers markets. That might be the easier way in, is to try and become an approved FMNP WIC check vendor and start there rather than thinking about the full scope. If there's one thing we learned from FoodLink when they shared at the Mobile Market Summit in 2022 about their WIC bus, it's that it was a very big administrative lift to become a WIC approved vendor. Okay, so Rachel's just gonna thank you for this comment, Rachel. You've started a mobile market collaborative that meets monthly in Indianapolis, right? Am I reading that right? Doing a webinar regularly. Yeah, great. So definitely connect with Rachel on what you all are doing, and we're happy to be supportive on our end with that collaborative. So excited to see these kind of small networks pop up and be supportive of each other, because that's how I think that resilience grows. I want to close just really quickly, and maybe Leah, can you share that last slide? Just again, I want to call out a couple of the ways that those of you who are really interested in continuing on your mobile market journey can engage with us and engage with our resources. Again, everything from the website we've shared a couple of different times. You can find all of the information I'm about to share at myveggievan.org and the various links therein. We have a Mobile Market 101 course upcoming. There is a informational webinar on that this Friday that I would invite you to sign up for and learn a little bit more about what it takes to join Mobile Market 101, what you get out of it, including a certification as a mobile market operator. Our summit, we'll be opening registration for the summit this winter in Phoenix, Arizona. I would certainly recommend you start with the Veggie Van Toolkit, which is also on the website. You fill out a brief survey, you get the password, and you can access those resources forever at absolutely no cost. And then, yeah, great. And if you want to email us to get into this mobile market Google group, we can get you added. Again, that's just a nice listserv where you can ask questions, answer questions based on your experience. It's a really great supportive group of a couple hundred mobile market folks.
Sam and maybe Rachel, is Eskenazi, were they with us on our journey?
They were
our past Mobile Market
graduated
101?
from Mobile Market 101 this past spring. Yeah, so they were one of our cohort members.
Yeah, I don't know, Rachel, who from Eskenazi is going to be presenting.
Yeah, it will be John Whitaker.
Okay,
We'll be giving the
Yeah.
tour.
great.
That's great. Oh, you'll love it. I've seen pictures of the bus as it was being built over the winter, and so I'm very excited for you all to check it out. Again, there's nothing like physically seeing the vehicles and how they work. Leah, I think that's it, unless you have anything else. Christina and everyone in the room, thanks so much for great questions, for engaging, for allowing us the chance to share about who we are and what we do. Looking forward to working with some of you more on your mobile market journey and supporting however we can, because I know those of you who are on this call really care about the communities you serve and really care, like we do, about building kind of resilient and healthy local food systems. So thank you for the work you're doing, and looking forward to collaborating more in the future.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Leah and Sam, for this great webinar, and I thank everyone for participating. And it will be on the Indiana Farmers Market Community of Practice website under webinars, and I will be sending the slides to everyone who's participated. So thank you all. Have a great afternoon.